Welcome back to another episode of the BCM podcast. I'm your host for the day, Charles, and this is Michael Searle. How you doing, Michael?
Doing great.
Good. Sorry I cut you off before. I didn't mean to. I know that was a little mean, but
that's all right.
Started.
We got stuff to do.
Huh?
We got stuff to do.
Yeah, we got an action-packed show for you today.
This is cute. This is really cute, guys.
And of course, we have our third co-host, Brad Swail.
Oh my god!
Background says,
"I can't take it anymore."
That's how we feel. But thanks for being with us. Please like, share, comment. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know if there are topics that we did discuss that you liked or didn't discuss that you wish we would have. We got to start with the biggest news of the day, which, in my opinion, isn't really that big of news. But the FBI allegedly released the Epstein Files Phase 1. For whatever reason, they decided to handpick a couple of social media influencers to come and get binders that looked like they were purchased at Office Depot on the clearance section, to then give it to them and then put it out. So what do you guys think? Is it everything we waited for, or is it a big, fat, nothing burger?
I appreciate the consciousness of our tax dollars and buying those cheap binders at Office Depot. So thank you, Trump administration, for being cost conscious in your release of the Phase 1 Epstein Files. First, I refuse to use their framing on this. It's Phase 1. It's the most transparent administration. Let's see about that. I think this first tranche of files, based on what I heard a couple people who got them say, is going to be a big old nothing burger. It's a bunch of names. We're not going to learn anything that significant out of these. And I think it's a nothing burger. I have some other thoughts, but I'm curious to hear what Brad and you think about this first tranche.
Well, we have what? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure can.
Well, I think Michael. I don't think you're talking. I don't think your microphone is turned on, Michael. I could be wrong, but
he's correct.
So we got. That's. I knew it. Oh God. This is what we got here. Here it is. From Eric Doherty. Breaking DC Drano, libs of TikTok. These people have names. Cernovich, Liz Wheeler, seen holding Epstein Files Phase 1 at the White House. Big Google eyes. Photo from Josh Suckoff. Good one, guy. So I think this is, it's kind of weird. I mean, some conservative influencers. I'm not a big fan of DC Drano. He seems like not that, I feel like if Trump said we're going to nuke Iran, he'd probably go along with it. He'd just be totally rah is what we got to do. America first. That's how we win, by implementing Mitch McConnell's dream before he retires. We got to do it. Bomb Iran. And I appreciate Cernovich lives at TikTok, and this other chick, it's kind of weird. I don't know. I feel like if there was more to this, we'd see a lot more rumblings. These are the people on the list. This is what's happening. Why aren't we seeing more of it? Is it because it was a Mossad operation and Israel's our greatest ally and we're not going to knock them out of the park? Is that what's going on? You guys see talking.
I was just waiting to see if Charles had something to say. I love the social media influencer aspect of it. What are you going to give it to the New York Times? Fuck that. Give it to some people on social media.
Always taking the New York Times in every reference of conversation that we have on this show, as if there are not other media outlets out there that we could pick on.
But none of them would be worthy of receiving this story. None of them. BCM podcast, maybe.
Hell yeah.
Again, then we're in the social media influencer category. So I'm not talking about those specific individuals. Could he have picked better people? Probably. But the idea of giving it to independent people who have a following on social media so that they can put it out there, I like that aspect.
I'm not against the idea. I think Cernovich actually was instrumental in the beginning of the Epstein saga and getting the case to a judge in Florida or whatever. or reopened or whatever it was. So I get why he would be there. I just don't understand the other three. And there's Michelle. What's her name? Michelle Ryan with OWN. Maybe she's a news lady. She could do it, right?
Liz Crokin.
Huh?
Liz Crokin.
I just don't understand why it has to be DC Drano.
Well, and I also saw another picture in which Scott Pressler was there too. So he was there. Here's the thing. I don't agree with releasing it specifically to this crowd. This guy on Twitter, Nuance Bro, kind of wrote what I was thinking, but didn't have the words. Or he goes, I don't like this method of release. Basically signals, yeah, this is only of importance to internet influencers or online weirdos. So we're just going to give it to them instead of doing a proper release. If they felt it was a proper release, they would have rolled this out right before the White House press briefing and gave it to every media outlet there and answered questions on it. They would have had a freaking, I had an ad today from Kristi Noem and the Department of Homeland Security on TV. I mean, on TV, like a TV commercial. If they really wanted to do this, they would have done it in like a primetime interview. There are ways to do this, and you can still give it to the influencers. My second problem is that by giving it to the influencers first, you're indirectly giving them a paycheck. So they go and tweet this stuff out. Of course, their tweets are going to get boosted because Elon follows them all. We're going to see it on social media, and then they get paid heavily on it while we get information dribbled through some online social media people.
So that's the same concept if you give it to traditional media, and they don't deserve it. They had the opportunity to. They had the opportunity to chase
traditional media. I think you should give it to everybody.
Sorry. I do. No, they had the opportunity to chase this story down for years, and they ignored it. We have Amy Robach on tape saying, "I had the story and I got it shut down." Every media outlet had the resources and opportunity to chase this story down. They didn't. That's an interesting fact that nobody has explained to me quite that makes sense yet. So I'm going to push back on this, and they would get more eyeballs if they covered it, meaning more money into their advertising budgets. Same concept you're explaining here with the social media influencers. I say give it to the people, let them report on it. Screw the media. You don't need to have some prime time edited show on CBS that they were like, well, we can touch this, but when it mentions anything about this, we're not going to be able to air that. No, screw that.
Well, my thing is give it to everybody initially, not just them. Because here's the thing. Is your goal as the White House to inform the public, or is it to get back at the media? Because if it's to inform the public, you're going to give it to the widest breadth possible of people. That means traditional media and this new media. Because guess what? The average person, my neighbor's not going online to look at DC Drano to see what they have to say about it. They're going to look at that and be like, oh yeah, this is an online weirdo thing. If they saw it on CNN, they're going to believe it. So why not give it to everyone at the same time? If
that's
the goal
the exact reason. The exact reason you just laid out, because if they give it to CNN, people will believe whatever CNN reports, and we know they won't report the truth. So why let them set the framing on this, the story on this? They'll say, Trump tripped over himself on stage when he got shot in the ear. Like, we know they don't have any credibility, and they don't deserve this story. I'm sorry.
I think you're missing my point, which isn't. Here's the thing. My thing is I don't need them to email it to CNN. What I need is them to put up a website and put the information there and let everybody get it at the same time. That's my point. Not give it to this select group. Give it to everyone at the same time. Let it be reported on by traditional media. Let it be reported on by new media. Because at the end of the day, your goal is to get the most information out to the public, you're not giving it to a very small subset of online content creators that the average non-political person who is aware of the Epstein story, because it's one of the few stories that broke out of just a political sphere. If you want to inform them, they're not going to be looking at these online influencers.
Well, we're just going to agree to disagree here, because we could get into the weeds about this, but agree to disagree.
Let's get into the weeds.
Well, hold on, guys. Stop.
Let's let Brad get in.
First off, you too, Charles. You were like yelling at me this morning for like fixing my attitude, and look at you go. I mean, both of you. Honestly, it's not just you, Charles. Calm down.
This is the first time me and Michael have disagreed.
My girlfriend is online and she's in distress, and so I must white knight for her. I nor the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents before release today. Any Post story, a New York Post story, just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. Not great. This is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment. Get us the information we asked for. Baby girl, you're right.
Holler back.
Holla back now. Yeah, so she's saying, hey, look, this ain't it, Chief. Is that what the kids say, Chief? This ain't it. And I think I agree with Charles on this, that it should just be, look, here's the website. It's here. Download it. Anybody can download it. DC Loser Drano. You can also access it. And you have a major platform, and you'll be able to disseminate it better than most people anyway because of your major platform. But we're not picking favorites here because DC Drano, Charles makes a decent point. I know a lot of people, I'll say, that if DC Drano says something, they don't follow him, they don't give a shit what he has to say, whatever. I also understand Michael's point. New York Times, Charles's favorite newspaper, they're not going to be honest about it, right? CNN's not going to be honest about it. So Charles, I think, has the right solution. Just post it online.
Not the right solution.
At the end of the day, if they had just given this to DC Drano, I would have never known about it. I don't follow him. I don't know what he talks about. None of those people that are pictured there do I follow or know what they're talking about. I can find the information because I'm on social media and stuff and like look for this, but I would have better been able to sort through it if it was just initially put out bullet points. Here's the high level stuff. Here's what it is. Let's talk about it. But at the end of the day, it seems like there's not much there. And Anna Paulina Luna is saying that that's like Congress didn't even get it. Why not give it to the head of the committee that's looking at this before you give it to the social media influencers?
It's right there, guys. It's right there. It's up there.
Click
it's up there online. It's up there online for anybody to see. What you guys are missing in the PR play here is the first story sets the tone for the rest of the stories. Other newspapers just pick up the headline that was first covered. So whatever the first people are reporting is going to set the tone for all of the coverage on this. And if you send it out there into the world, that means CNN and New York Times, who are trying to cover this up, they're trying to cover up this global sex trafficking network. They're trying to cover it up. They have been for years, gets to participate in setting what is the story here. And by giving it to a select few people, they determine what the story is. And maybe it's not ideal, but it's better than what you guys are proposing here. I'm telling you.
But the outlets aren't following with these. They're not going to follow the narrative these people set.
Yeah, they are going to have to.
I guess we'll wait and see. I don't know. But, I mean, we'll see tonight what they report. You know, what the report's going to be tonight, I think, is going to be Trump administration selects small faction of right-wing social media influencers to come and get the information about, right-wing hoax, blah, 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 blah. That's what it's going to be now. And
then their first thing they're going to tweet is something like, Bill Clinton's on here 57 times or whatever. But we're still going round and round about it. One thing I do want to say before we move off this topic is there's something incredibly strange about this story. Incredibly strange. Pam Bondi, who advocated as AG of Florida, advocated for the death penalty for children or children abusers.
Whoa, damn.
Abusers of children. Very fired up about the Epstein Files about 2 weeks ago when they were on her desk, ready to be reviewed. Now is hedging like a politician. There is something incredibly strange about this story that involves the trafficking of children that I don't know that we're ever going to know the truth. Because if you can twist Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, who are like, yeah, we're releasing everything like they have done, there's something going on that we need to know.
Could it be?
Yes.
That it's what?
Yes.
You're saying yes. I don't even need to say it. You know exactly what I'm going to say. I'm correct.
I don't know that that's correct, but I always go back to Alex Acosta, when asked about this, said, I was told not to touch it. He is intelligence. That was in 2008 when he gave him the sweetheart deal. And he said, I was told he's part of intelligence and not to touch it. So,
well, if he was part of intelligence, why would Pam Bondi and Kash Patel be protecting that? Because they're compromised?
Because it's not just our intelligence.
There's a certain intelligence agency that might be implicated, and we can't do that. Do you understand? I think James Lindsay puts it best. I sent you guys this earlier. I can pull it up real quick. Oh, come on, computer, stop doing this. I hate it.
I don't know that we need to just signal out Mossad. I'm fine saying Mossad. I think it was global. It's global, and
Yes.
it implicates lots and lots of people in
Yeah,
not just child sex trafficking, but trading votes for money, all sorts of corruption that's going on in the U.S. and other governments, and that includes MAGA people who would get exposed.
Right. Look, I was not saying that it's just Mossad, but I mean, it's also MI6, it's also CIA, it's probably the whole 5 eyes, 7 eyes, whatever the phrase is. It's the whole shebang. But I think the prevailing narrative is that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were sort of, they had some deep ties over there. And that might ruin some narratives.
It does, certainly does.
Is involved or MI5? You think it's MI6?
What's the difference?
Well, MI5 is for foreign intelligence, and then MI6 is for like legal, economic, secret intelligence service liaison.
I don't know. I thought you were talking about Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. I have no idea. No idea.
Well,
rest in peace, Gene Hackman. Hey, can I just bring something up real quick? Can we switch subjects?
I mean, I am the host today,
I know,
but
I'm asking permission. Okay,
I'll
thank
allow
you. I appreciate it.
It depends on what
Well, it's about Lisa.
Okay.
Well, Lisa, I mean, I think I can bury our beef at this point. I think I can bury our beef. She tweeted out something, and quite frankly, I think it's worth reading. Austin City Councilman podcast. That's my old podcast for people who don't know. 2, with Austin heartthrob Brad Swail. I do get my dose of him on the BMC podcast. It's BCM, but that's fine. BMC podcast. No one can match Swail's wit, so it can be too cerebral. Still good.
Okay, it is what it is. That's not true, but it's fine. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for
True.
So we do want to take some time to really.
Lisa's my girl.
We want to take some time to, think about Michelle Trachtenberg. Michelle Trachtenberg was a generational talent. She was a pillar in the Black community. No one saw this coming, and it's just a terribly sad situation. And I mean, did you guys are a little older than I am, so you guys didn't grow up with Michelle Trachtenberg, did you?
How is she a pillar in the Black community?
Harriet the Spy. You cannot mess with Harriet the Spy in a Black household.
What are you talking about? Why is Harriet the Spy popular in Black households?
It's a great movie. I don't know.
My answer to your question, Charles, is I only remember her from Eurotrip.
Okay. Because how old are you?
40.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, I recognize this broad. I don't really know. I mean, I saw Harriet the Spy. I saw Eurotrip. I've seen a lot of these things. I guess she was the latest iteration of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Is that it? Are you sure that's not what you're talking about, Charles? Is like Black culture? I don't get.
Black people like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You laugh as if that's stranger than Harriet the Spy.
Yeah, I mean, the Black community. Somebody even tweeted the other day. It was funny. 10,000 retweets. Baby, the Black community is mourning the loss of our Harriet the Spy. I mean, it was a really popular movie in Black households. I don't know why.
It doesn't make any. I mean, I'm looking at Harriet the Spy right now. I don't know if is there even a Black character in it.
No, but I think there was a point where she was dancing to James Brown.
That'll seal the deal, I guess. What?
Anyway.
So,
Michael, whatever you're doing with your microphone now,
I need to stop.
Whatever you're doing, you're like, I think you have it turned up too high, and like when you breathe into it, it's like really, it's like a wind tunnel.
Oh,
it's fine.
It had been happening for a while, and I didn't even. It was like background noise. I didn't realize it had been happening for a while until Brad said it.
It's okay.
I haven't touched the dial on my mic since you told me to turn it up. So I'm going to blame it on you.
Maybe you were just too close. Maybe that's it.
Okay.
It sounded like somebody like breathing in the back of your ear.
I mean, Gene Hackman is more of a generational talent who everyone's saying this is not a suspicious death, but I disagree. He died in his New Mexico home, same county as Epstein's ranch, by the way. Him, 95, his wife, 64, Asian, kind of a, all right, I didn't know he had that fetish, but that's fine. And his dog, all of them dead. It's a little strange.
It's obviously carbon monoxide.
Okay, maybe or maybe not. I don't know. Seems a little strange.
It doesn't seem strange to me.
Okay, well, I guess you are around husbands and wives and dogs that die at the same time quite a bit more than me.
Well, growing up, I did have a number of friends whose entire family just died in one evening. A couple of them.
What? You have multiple friends that happened to?
Yeah. You
say that like that's...
No, I know that's not normal. I'm just saying, like, it's happened, and so that's why I know that carbon monoxide's like, it's not. I mean, it's uncommon, but you hear something like that, and it sounds like, oh, of course, carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm just saying.
We had this girl. We were in sixth grade. She slept at another girl's house one Friday night. Came home, her whole family was dead, and then they moved her away. We never saw her again.
Oh, wow.
Another one, she was staying at her grandmother's house, came home next day, her mom, her dad, her brother, dead in the house. Sad.
What?
Jesus Christ.
They didn't move her away. She moved in with the grandma, and she was my neighbor for like the next 20 years.
Michael, do you know anybody this has ever happened to?
No.
No, me neither. I don't know. That's interesting that you know two people.
Well, I think, it doesn't get very cold down here. I think like in the cold, it's something maybe that happens more in the Northeast. I don't know.
Michelle Trachtenberg is dead at 39, I believe. Rest in peace to her and Gene Hackman.
Yep. Nobody dies of natural causes at 39, I'll just say.
She just had a liver transplant.
They said natural causes.
Yeah, naturally after that liver transplant.
Why did you have a liver transplant at 39?
And you could die at natural causes at a young age. I had this girl in I was in sixth grade. She was in seventh grade.
Oh my gosh. It's very rare.
Yes, it's very rare. I don't know.
What is a natural cause at this point? Like, what does that mean? You're 39, you die of natural cause. You have okay, I'll make it personal, right? My son is very special needs. He has extremely rare genetic abnormalities, right? If he died as a result of that, I don't know if it'd be, he's not going to, but it wouldn't be natural causes. I don't think it would be from complications of that. If you're 39 and you have, I don't know, Crohn's disease, does that kill people? I don't think so. And you die from that, you die from Crohn's disease.
Yeah, but that's a pre-existing condition.
Right. When you say natural causes, it's an old person that went to sleep and didn't wake up because they were just old.
Right. And sometimes you just go to sleep and your heart just stops.
No way.
At 39.
Oh.
You'd have to do a lot of drugs and alcohol and abuse to your body to die. And this is common among child stars, though. So I'm sad for her family. I candidly think we spend way too much not we, the three of us, but we collectively spend way too much talking about when celebrities die. People die every day and what makes them different. But that's what stood out to me is that 39 years old, natural causes. What do you mean?
Well, actually, and I did Google it just now. According to Ohio State University, the technical definition of natural death means that it's an internal factor, not external. So something such as cancer, heart disease, or diabetes, if you die because of that, could be called a natural death.
Okay.
So
something tells me that this segment's going to be our most viewed segment because we're talking about Harriet the Spy. And I feel like whenever we talk about things like that, like black things that are important to black culture, we get a lot of people that just comment, who are these fucking white boys? Like that kind of stuff. I think it's cool. I hope people do it more. But I feel like this one's going to be the top.
Maybe. Well, hopefully it is. And if so, Michelle, we thank you. When you slapped that girl and left that blue handprint on her face, it's something we'll always remember, you know. And so thanks. Brad, you got the Trump Gaza video teed up?
I can, yes, sir. Right away, I'm on it.
Thank you. So there's been a lot of yapping on social media about this video that Trump tweeted, or I don't know if he created it, but
he truthed it.
He truthed it. And then Michael, get ready because we're talking about Tunguska next. And so Trump tweeted this video, and it's interesting. Let's see. It's kind of weird to me, but go ahead.
Kind of.
Very weird.
Tunnels coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no
That
more
Elon
fear.
Musk?
Trump Gaza is finally
Skinny Elon Musk.
Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future,
Yes.
brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal.
I mean, it's kind of interesting. I didn't mean to pause there, but that is an interesting part of it, where it's Donald Trump and Netanyahu hanging out shirtless by a pool. All of a sudden, Gaza is just like, it's raining money. It's very interesting.
It's done. Trump Gaza #1.
I mean, it's interesting. Thoughts?
Is this, I mean, I'm not, look, Trump, Gaza, I mean, is that something that, it seems a little weird, right? Like should he be, as president, should he be saying like our foreign policy is going to be to take over Gaza so that he personally can build Trump Gaza?
You see the big golden statue of him?
I mean,
I think it's a troll. I think it's a troll.
I don't think he's too serious about it.
I think it's a troll. If he's serious, he's psycho, or it has something to do with the Epstein stuff. One of the two.
You connect that dot, bud. Come on.
Who?
I'm gonna let the viewers connect that dot.
No, I mean, is it? Are you going back to Mossad?
I think it's a troll.
Okay.
Personally,
It's not me.
I think it's a troll. Personally, he cannot be serious. I think the whole proposal to take over Gaza is ridiculous and displace all those people. I think it's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's not part of his common sense, platform. And I'm hopeful it's a troll. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it looks like we're planning on investing a lot of money over there. That's all I can say about that,
Yeah.
Do you think that this is a long-term plan? Huh?
We or Trump? Because that said Trump Gaza. I didn't say America's 51st state or colony or whatever the fuck you want to call it, territory. That said Trump Gaza. I'm not paying for a Trump sign in Gaza. Trump needs to pay for that. If you could do it, great. Go for it. I don't care. But.
And what if you do pay for it, Brad?
I was thinking about this a lot earlier. The Doge stimmy checks. I shouldn't pay for that. But $5,000 is also bullshit because it's years and years and years and years of abuse. So it should be the $1 million, but whatever. At any rate.
Michael, how do you feel about $5,000?
I was able to let that go after we had the conversation. Brad clearly is still holding on.
I'm not holding on to it. I know that I won. I'm thinking more about it, and I'm like, $5,000 is actually not enough. Like even $25,000. It's a weird video. Michael's probably right that he's trolling. It's the left's brain melting about it because it's our president tweeting this out and. The Palestinians, I can understand it, but calm down. It's just an AI video with really bad AI music.
And Elon Musk like 5 times, which I just find kind of strange.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the first cabinet meeting, by the way?
Well, I want to hear what you think about the video, not to take over hosting, but.
I mean, it looks like Vegas, it looks like a nice resort town if you choose to resort town. It looks like obviously the imagery they portray there is very nice. I think it's kind of crazy. I don't know what is it just fun? Like you just liked it and decided to tweet about it? I don't know. It's kind of, and that's how I feel.
Is it more Vegas or is it more Atlantic City?
That's not Atlantic City. That's Vegas. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been to Vegas. I've been to AC though, and AC does not look like that.
And who builds casinos?
The Adelsons.
And who likes Israel, the state of Israel, and doesn't like the Palestinians being there?
Most Israelis,
Tyson. Oh.
The Adelsons.
and they donated big time to the Trump campaign. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I hope he's not serious about this, but we can broach it when it's a serious topic.
Okay. What did you guys think about the first cabinet meeting? Any thoughts out of that? Elon Musk's involvement? Liked it, hated it?
Elon Musk's involvement is kind of it's a lot of involvement, which makes sense. He's making a lot of news, so you'd probably want him there to make more news, right?
I guess. I thought the one part I thought was weird was when he looked at the cabinet secretaries and he's like, "Does anybody not want Elon? Like, do you think anybody's going to say anything?" No. And I can only imagine the number of them that are like, "Yeah, we're in a group chat. We're talking about shit." No, I just thought that was interesting. But yeah.
It goes back to our little dispute about whether or not the cabinet secretaries were really telling people not to send or respond to those emails. I think that the media is trying to fabricate some sort of rift in the administration. Aren't they a team? Like, I would think that Tulsi, RFK, those two in particular are probably friends and fans of what Elon's doing. And it's not like a territorial thing. Aren't they a team? The administration is a team. They're all on the same page about what they're doing.
I mean, RFK is great on health. I get it. Agreed. Good health and humans, HHS. I get it. Great pick. But if he's cutting USAID and that's cutting environmental programs, don't you think that RFK is going to be a little pissy about that?
Is it cutting our environmental programs? And no.
I mean,
if anybody in the administration understands the
rangers that have gotten fired,
if anybody in the administration understands the corruption that's inherent in the federal government and the programs and the foreign policy, I would think RFK would be top of that list.
RFK was like a full-blown Democrat for the longest time. He's never once has talked about, he's known about it. If you say he's known about it, then like my daughter's showing up. Well, just a second, please. Just a second, please.
He is a full-blown Democrat.
He's a full-blown Democrat who supported the federal government every step of the way, like has always been, except for pharmaceutical companies. Other than that, he's rah. Like, let's go feds. Like, he's not like some small government type of guy. He's aware of, if he's aware of it, he's never said anything about it and has supported big government. Voted for Biden. Voted for big government, Obama, all the time. Not that the Republicans would have been less. Why is she doing this? Would have been less big government. She's really distracting me. I'm gonna mute myself, and I will be right back. You guys discuss amongst yourselves.
To your point, I think no, I disagree. Yeah. Oh, actually, so they're a team, yes, but I think in a perfect world, we could say that they don't care about their territories, but they care about their territories. I think one, if you're at that level of government, regardless of how pure your heart is, you're going to get territorial when you have people trying to step, when you have a lot of plans that you want implemented yourself. Two, they signed up to work for Trump. They did not sign up to work for Elon. And so there probably are personality differences that come with that. And I can imagine that there is conflict. Three, we've seen the conflict because Vivek got fired or whatever happened with that. So like, we know that there is some sort of conflict. That doesn't mean it's going to cause major disruption or anything, but I definitely think there's conflict. And lastly, I think you have most of these people, I wouldn't say most, a lot of them have had long histories in or around government. And so I do think in their mind, a lot of them are like, well, we know how this works. And this is how we want to, these are the levers and the buttons we want to push to get to where we want to go. Whereas he comes in from outside of government and is like, this is how we do it in the business arena. And there's conflict there as well. I mean, I'm not going to say they're all lifelong bureaucrats because most of them aren't, but I think they've all worked in and around government enough that they have their certain ways of doing things. And there's probably conflict with that when it comes to him. So I think with Trump saying that, like, does anybody not want Elon here to speak up? I think that was him flexing his muscle to tell them to put them back in place. Like, I don't think the silence there was because no one had a problem. I think the silence there was because they were like, well, like, he's clearly showing where he is. So let's all just tamp it back down a bit.
Oh, maybe for some, I think for others, no. I mean, I think that what Elon is doing is he's trying to get rid of, I would say, let's say the thesis is Doge is trying to get rid of corruption, eliminate unnecessary expenses, eliminate unnecessary staff, eliminate unnecessary programs. In the case of DOD, Hegseth, DNI, Tulsi, HHS, RFK, FBI, Patel, I would say all of those four are on the same page about getting rid of that, getting rid of those things. Maybe some of these other secretaries that were appointed that have a history in the executive branch, maybe they feel like what you described, but we're talking about those four agencies at least, which have been the high profile ones.
Okay, but let's talk about the second biggest state. Marco's definitely not where he is.
That's probably true. Yeah.
And
true.
so I can only imagine that that's a massive conflict there behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. But Marco Rubio,
I guess we'll never know. Palace intrigue.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, Marco Rubio and Tulsi Gabbard both having served as, in the positions they've served. I feel like they would probably have already known about all of the government corruption and waste because they were a part of it and approving or not approving, voting for, voting against. What are you squinting your face for, Michael? You think that they were oblivious? Like they were a couple of doofuses that just didn't understand. Like you understood that there was waste and fraud in the federal government. You don't think Marco Rubio and Tulsi Gabbard knew? I wouldn't
combine the two of them into the same category.
I mean, well, okay. I haven't heard either one of them ever say anything about before Elon Musk, and cut it in Doge and cutting all this stuff. I don't think they've ever done anything to actually do that. I don't think have they ever said anything, made a public statement like, hey, there's too much waste and fraud in the federal government. We should do something about that. Or did they sit in their elected positions and vote for more of it?
Tulsi Gabbard, for her entire career as an elected official, opposed the waste and fraud of our foreign policy and going into other countries and trying to change their elected officials
through military
the whole time.
Through military action. I doubt that she cared about, sending, I don't know, $7 million for DEI concerts in Brazil.
Did she know?
What, I mean, how could she not know? I mean, how could she?
Because Mike Benz. Because
at the very least, she knows that stuff like that is happening. Maybe not that specific one, but she's aware that bullshit is happening, and
Mike Benz revealed the USAID story about 2 years ago. Congress couldn't even get that information. They weren't giving that information. The intelligence agencies and the military establishment did not turn over. We're sending $50 million in condoms to Palestine, which actually isn't even $50 million in condoms. It's $50 million for some slush fund project that they're working on. They weren't sharing that information with Congress.
Yes, but Congress is aware that there's a ton of fraud and waste in the federal government, and they don't do anything. They don't say, hey, we're not getting any of this information that we're asking for from the intelligence agencies and the military industrial complex. We should, start, an online ruckus, a little grassroots, get some people angry about this. We should, call a press conference. We should do more about this. They just voted for more of it.
Well, so I think you make a good point, but the thing is, at the end of the day, no one did, unfortunately. Trump did not do it in his first term. None of these MAGA congressmen who were running around screaming Doge did it. None of the state lawmakers who were calling for Doge did it. No one did until, the person that they looked, Elon Musk was like this celebrity who took a favoring to them, and then now they're like, yes, we love everything. And I think a lot of it's great, obviously, but none of them did or said any of this. And Rand Paul, sure, or Mike Lee, Thomas Massey. I can't say that there was no one, but few and far between. And Rand Paul would do the annual thing of like the pork list and stuff like that. But I think some of this stuff is so extreme and so crazy that you couldn't even like imagine it even if you wanted to, right? Like I just feel like it's just so out there that the craziest of crazy people had to think this up. So to try to like eradicate something that you don't know exists and you don't know where to look, I think that's really hard. But they should have been looking much longer than they have been.
I mean, I kind of, as someone that follows Houston politics pretty closely, Charles.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, I just imagine that Houston is the same as Austin. I follow Austin politics and what they spend their money on, what they vote on pretty closely. And they vote on a bunch of crazy, crazy shit all the time. And very similar things. And sending money to like Egypt for a fucking like gay fashion show or something. Why is Austin doing that? What the fuck is happening? Painting murals, like homeless people painting murals in the library. What's happening? Why are we doing this? It's not that surprising or crazy to think that the federal government, like you're right, Rand Paul would every year the Festivus list. He's doing it. Like what? This is not news to anybody. The specifics might be news, but it's not news that it's happening.
Fair.
Yeah, but also as someone that follows Houston government, well, you're talking about Austin, which is a fully progressive city. But as someone who follows Houston, you know how well even unsophisticated bureaucrats in the Houston government can conceal information, even from the elected officials. The bureaucracy has a way of, I mean, you've seen an Austin City Council agenda. It's not 150 items on accident. That's on purpose. It keeps the elected officials running around like crazy trying to figure out all this stuff that's going on, while the real stuff that's happening is happening in the bureaucracy, and they don't even have any oversight or insight into what is actually going on.
Yeah. And I mean, and also there's so much of a just push down of some authority to these unelected, not just bureaucrats, but commissions and this and that and the other, that then go and spend this money, that it is really hard to dig into this stuff unless you have whistleblowers who are telling you that this is happening. But at the end of the day, you have 435 members of Congress, many of whom you would have hoped had this mindset before and would look for this kind of stuff, and they didn't. Like, what's the point of having that position if you're not going to use it to flex muscle to try to advance the beliefs that you say you hold? And they never did until this year. And so now we're finding a bunch of stuff. Better late than never, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, some of them, did they do as much as they could? No, but they did some. And we shouldn't compare them to Mike Rogers, for example, or
it's crazy that you put Tulsi Gabbard next to Thomas Massie and Rand Paul.
Why?
I mean, because she has good foreign policy, but I don't think that she's like Rand Paul or Thomas Massie level of like, Thomas Massie comes out with a video the other day like, hey, I'm not voting for this budget bill because it puts us like $10 trillion more in debt. And let me break it down for you like year by year, even under the like most conservative best estimates put out by the government. Like we're still $10 trillion in the hole. Like that's why I'm not voting for it. I don't care if Donald Trump calls me personally every day for a month. I'm voting no. Like that.
Okay,
she's not,
create three categories.
I'm just
my point was she's not like even in Congress, she was not a rubber stamp for the establishment. Did she go to the same extremes as Thomas Massie? No. So you have three categories. You have Thomas Massie, and then a second category that's like Tulsi Gabbard and some of these people who do some good stuff. And then you have the majority of Congress, which is just a rubber stamp. She's not a rubber stamp. She wasn't a rubber stamp, I would argue.
I'd have to go back and look at her voting record. All I know, I could only say confidently based on my gut that she wasn't a rubber stamp on foreign policy.
Well, that's fair. And we can revisit this conversation. We can revisit it. Everything's open for discussion around here at the BCM podcast. So Michael, tell us about Tunguska and how it's giving us hope that this next asteroid's going to really be the one.
Aren't we at a 0% chance now?
Oh, I should look that up. I'll look it up.
You should just show that Randall Carlson video. I mean, Tunguska was a piece of a meteor that came into the Earth's atmosphere in 1908, and it exploded in the air over Russia, the Tunguska forest or something like that. And it leveled. So it's 150 feet in diameter. It's a pretty small asteroid. It's the one that's maybe heading towards Earth is 100 feet, but it flattened a forest the size of basically New York City. The power of the explosion in the air. This didn't even hit the ground. It blew up in the air because of the pressure. The explosion was equivalent to a 15 megaton atomic bomb. That explosion in the air. So could do some damage, but it didn't change. It wasn't a population killer. It was a city killer.
Well, that's because it didn't hit anywhere with people in it.
Well, Charles, I really hate to break this news to you. It's going to be disappointing. You may end the stream. We're not streaming. You may end the record. I don't want you to, but I'm saying it's really sad. The chance now, as of right now, is 0.001%. I know you were hoping for that to reach that 60 mark, but not on this one, bud.
Right in the wrong direction. Guess we'll just have to wait this thing out, huh?
Sad.
Yeah.
I guess the BCM podcast continues.
Well, maybe we'll get another Tunguska one day. It would be interesting for something like that to happen, and then that become a tourist destination where you go in. Like maybe people don't die, right? Like maybe it's somewhere where people don't die, and then you go see this massive crater. Like how cool would that would be? There's a big hole in South Carolina near where my parents live, where a comet meteor or something or other came down in like the 50s and just like blew this crater. It's not like that big, but it's big enough. You can drive a couple cars in it. And it's still there. It's grass now, so it just looks like a divot, but very cool. Didn't take anyone out either. No one got lucky.
You just want to get hit by an asteroid?
It's fast, it's quick, it's painless. Imagine, out of all the people that you would meet in heaven, not everybody's going to have a great story about how they got there. But if you got hit by an asteroid, you certainly will. You'd probably be the most popular person up there.
That's true. How'd you die? An asteroid.
How'd you die? The American Revolution.
Charles, your story about South Carolina reminded me of this. I saw it recently. I thought you might like it. For those listening, it's a video of a man digging a very nice hole on a beach, and it's very big. He can kneel in it. It's a very nice looking hole.
Thanks, Bernard. Now, finally, for now, mysterious hole on a beach has caused a stir in North Dublin. A local enthusiast is hoping the crater in Portmarnock could be the aftermath of a cosmic event.
It's a huge, mysterious hole that looks out of this world. But is it? The unusual hole on Portmarnock Beach stopped local astrophysics enthusiast Dave Kennedy in his tracks.
Dave Kennedy is very
an idiot.
He's very impressed by this hole.
Again.
They're all idiots at this point. They just love what he has to say.
Yesterday, and he's certain the small but heavy rock inside it came from up above.
As you can tell by here, there's a scorch mark on this side here, so that would have been at the angle that it came down at. And it is weighty. I'm not sure if it's composition, but we're definitely going to have to find out.
Ridiculous. Like, this is yet another. Anyway, well.
You think it could happen in South Carolina?
That didn't happen in South Carolina. It happened in Dublin, Ireland.
No, I'm saying, do you think that your story about South Carolina is a big hole in the ground? Maybe someone just dug it.
No. It wasn't. They witnessed it. But thanks everyone for tuning into this week's episode of the BCM podcast. It was a delight to be with you guys today. Please let us know what you liked, what you hated, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, what topics we want to cover. We left some out today. We had a couple more, but you know what? This feels like a natural stopping point. It just feels real good. And it was a great time to be with you guys. So thank you for tuning in. Do you guys have anything left?
Such a great time that you're going to end it earlier than normal. I get it.
Thank you, guys.